Harvard and Penn presidents are being forced to resign because you had capitalists who donated a ton of money to these education institutions, and now they're able to influence them on very important geopolitical issues. And now they're suppressing free speech because they are trying to appease their donors. This is how capitalists, people who in control capital, not the workers, control politics in this country. And the same way with Israel-Palestine, where you have the majority of Democrats who support a ceasefire. And I'm talking about the vast majority. Do you have the majority of independents who support a ceasefire? Despite this, are we getting a ceasefire? No, we are not, because AIPAC bought off all our politicians. AIPAC spent $17 million on the last election, and now we have Democrats who can't even support a ceasefire, which is supported by the vast majority of constituents. They have Donald Trump, CJ. They told us that Donald Trump is the biggest threat to democracy of all time. Donald Trump is going to destroy our nation. He's a unique, unhinged evil. But despite how dangerous Trump is, despite how high the stakes are, they're willing to lose, CJ, in order to keep the Israel funding gravy train going. Think about that. Yep. On one end, Donald Trump is the greatest evil that must be defeated no matter what. He's the greatest threat on a nation to our nation's history. But we're willing to allow him to win if it means stop funding a genocide. How do you reconcile that? Because AIPAC, Zionist money, have bought off our politicians. And that will always be the case. That's why politicians do the bidding on Wall Street. That's why nothing you say actually matters. Because the people who have capital will be the people who have the most influence in our society. Meanwhile, what we want is a dictatorship of the proletariat. What we own the means of production is the most democratic model of governance there is, which is why it scares the capitalist class. There's no bigger threat to the capitalist class than seizing their power. So, as I show you guys how the United States and Israel isolated itself in the world, I can never help stop explaining how they are hypocrites. Do you guys remember what they were saying during the Ukraine war about the crime, about the civilian deaths? You had John Kirby famously cried once, like, no one can constantly stand for what Putin is doing when you had innocent civilians die. That's someone's brother, that's their sister. All of a sudden, John Kirby sounds like Malcolm X, CJ, when it comes down to Russian war crimes. And now here's Anthony Blinken doing his best impersonation of Malcolm X and black anti-imperialists here. This is what he said about the Russian-Ukraine war.
We can never let the crimes Russia's committing become our new normal. Bucha is not normal. Mariupol is not normal. Irpin is not normal. Bombing schools and hospitals and apartment buildings to rubble is not normal.
Bombing schools, apartment, hospitals is not normal. That's what Blinken said when white people was the victim. You guys want to hear that again? It's only 17 seconds. This is when the United States should pretend to care about civilian deaths.
Can never let the crimes Russia's committing become our new normal. Bucha is not normal. Mariupol is not normal. Irpin is not normal. Bombing schools and hospitals and apartment buildings to rubble is not normal. We can never let the crimes Russia's committing become our new normal.
We can never let the crimes Russia is committing become the new normal, as they allow everything they accuse Russia of doing become the new normal in Gaza. Mm-hmm. Everything they accuse Russia of doing, Israel is doing tenfold. And what did I personally say? I told you guys, the highest form of corruption, it is weaponized hypocrisy. Weaponized hypocrisy is the highest form of corruption. When the ICC decides to charge Vladimir Putin as a war criminal for relocating less children than Israel killed. You guys understand? Putin is accused of relocating less kids than Israel actually bombed. So, but meanwhile, Netanyahu, where's the ICC warrant on him? He killed more kids than they accused Putin of kidnapping. CJ, Rome, you guys know how fucking crazy that is? That is the highest form of corruption, this weaponized hypocrisy, and people must understand this. So Putin was a war criminal. All these people who they tell us to hate, like Xi Jinping, war criminal, even though he don't have a, what war is he sponsoring? What genocide is he supporting? What's Xi Jinping death count? But we supposed to be scared of him? Meanwhile, here's the United States isolating itself on the world stage, thus putting a target on Americans' back. Another example of how Zionism is a national security threat. Because you guys don't think the world is not seeing the United States being the only one who vetoed this? You guys think we don't people not seeing this? So some people are misguided may view attacking Americans as a legitimate way to fight against this genocide. It's not the smart thing to do, but that's just the reality of what will happen. Zionism is a national security threat. So here's the headline: U.S. vetoes UN Gaza ceasefire again, as Biden veers far from the global consensus. Death toll tops 18,000. And fam, a lot of these states that voted for this are not critics of Israel. A lot of these people usually go along with Israel. It just shows how absolutely unhinged and how far gone the United States is. So when people tell me that Hamas is terrorists, I look at them straight in the eye. I say, they don't know they are not. You want to know who's under compliance in international law? Hamas. Because they have the legal right to armed resistance against their colonial occupier. Meanwhile, as I explained many times before, Israel is a terrorist state that is out of compliance with international law. CJ, remember when I say this? What is the only mechanism that stops Israel from being held accountable as the criminal state that they are? The United States, which is a country that had their democracy hijacked by the capitalist dictatorship that was exported from the Zionism in Israel. So you have Zionists, all these billionaire Zionists, all this capital that supports Zionism, that hijacked our political system because capitalism is not a democracy. So they hijack our democracy, completely shift where the United States foreign policies will be loyal to Israel, and then they created a giant state that will block Israel from being held account to international law. And I've been watching this my entire life, but now we're seeing the conclusion of this, that what happens when you have the giant client state that will fight and die for Israel. You see how the UN is a fucking toothless organization. So what do colonized people do if you have a criminal rogue regime that cannot be held account, but because of the failed institutions created by the West? You engage in armed resistance against the criminal state, correct? Are you supposed to allow the criminal state to continue doing what they do, despite the fact that everyone in the world is like, Israel is a criminal state, we got to stop them, but they keep being stopped by the United States? So what do you do as someone who's a victim of the criminal state? You resist by any means necessary, which is why I personally, not speaking for a channel, which is why I root for Hamas, because Hamas is an organization that is fighting. I just say that just for, I'm not putting. Exactly.
I'm telling you, everybody here supports Hamas. I mean, even the kind-hearted folk, Sabby, JB, yes, we all support Hamas. It makes no sense for us not to. That's like being against the Black Panther Party. They are not terrorists. They're a product of their environment. Right? All right, there.
And they're being propped up by Netanyahu. There's another story we can get to for that, but go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try and get through this a little bit faster. I have quite a bit of cover here. But I started to read the first paragraph of This Democracy Now! That's covering this. I'll read the headline again just so I get into it. This is the U.S. vetoes UN Gaza ceasefire again as Biden veers far from global consensus. And I'll just read the first paragraph. To discuss the shocking United States veto of a UN Security Council resolution requesting a Gaza ceasefire. Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't read that. They pretty much talking about the guests, and they talking about how shocking it is. They isolated the United States from the world. I don't need to read that part. Now, this...
I saw that headline.
Nothing is worth it. You know what I mean? I'm very careful because when I say it, none of this is worth it. You know what I mean? Based on the death and destruction. But I will just say this. I am so glad lesser to evilism as an ideology is completely destroyed. Because I even seen PMC leftists after this veto, like, holy fuck Joe Biden. Dude, this is like they realize that their entire political ideology is fraudulent and led to a genocide. And I'm not saying AOC is one of them. I'm just showing you how even the PMC class is enabled to speak out on this. AOC is not going to rock the boat on here. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying she is. But it's so bad that even they are forced to say shit about this.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me chime in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because on this, yeah, absolutely. This lesser or two evil. Because I was gonna make the same comment before you got to this section. I was like, I hope he gets to this because this is why, like, this last 12 months, I gotta say, man, this has been the best for radicals who want a population to get more radicalized. The events of the last 12 months have completely shattered this lesser of two evil, from the strike breaking that they did and they tried to cover up and it came out, and the relational harm, just all the devastating things that's pulling the mask off from everybody, to Bernie Sanders, to AOC, to Joe Biden. And you see the Arab communities leaving too. Go ahead, Nick. You see the Arab community leaving too. Go ahead, Nick.
I want to just back your point up, because remember when we had Jimmy on and we were explaining how, like, shit, dude, it's actually better when Democrats win, because people that radicalizes more people. Like, more people was radicalized because of Bill Clinton. Like, more people was radicalized because of Barack Obama. Like, the only thing really that George W. Bush and Trump and the Republicans do is scare people back to the Democratic Party. Like, they would actually be terrible if Trump was president right now, because then you have liberals that would pretend to be against this genocide, and then they'd be like, see, this is why Democrats. And then there would be a wave of young people who've been Democrats for life after this. So it's actually great. Remember that comment we made? I will never forget. We talking about, like, and I was like, yo, that's actually a good point. It's actually good when Democrats win. Because if it was the opposite, bro, it would have been the greatest gift ever for Democrats. Yes. And I can only imagine that Democrat donors and the liberal bourgeoisie, they having private conversations like, fuck, man, why did that happen to when we in charge? If it was only Republican, we would have been gold. And they would have been. They would have been.
And that's what I was, and you're speaking to what I was just, you just said you were backing up. You're speaking to what I was saying has been happening. Like, because they've been in power, when the railroad agreement came up, they had to show their ass on they're not really being for workers. When, you know, and then this with Israel, because remember, if you go back, when support for this massacre of Palestinians was at its height in the first 3 days after October 7th, remember, AOC said I would vote to support the Iron Dome right now. You don't hear her saying nothing like that anymore. If you ask her about it, she'd be like, well, I bet you she'll have another word salad about that comment. She don't make no comments like that.
But due to the what's going on right now, of course, they're gonna have some word salads. And it's crazy how she just basically disappeared when all this shit started popping off, didn't she? She was on Twitter like every day, like one of us. And when this shit popped off, she disappeared.
They all were for it first, because they thought it wasn't going to be this long. They all, majority report, they wasn't really talking about this yet. They thought, a couple of days is going to be over. Then it prolonged. They had to talk about it because they saw the atrocities. But if these motherfuckers, Nick, got the audacity to talk about vote for some Joe Biden, they have literally they are ghouls. They are literally like just ghosts in physical bodies. There's no way you can be a human. See what this guy is down with, Nick, and we're going to pass it to you so you can get back to it, and still talking about let's vote for. How dare you say he's the lesser of two evils? We got a genocide and nuclear war. What's worse than that, Nick? Back to you, sir.
Bro, Biden just destroyed their credibility. Like, I've seen the most shit Libby accounts No need to call them out because they're going through some shit right now. Remember what I said at the very beginning of this, CJ? When I said there are a lot of people going through some shit. You know, the people who their entire ideology was based on lesser two evilism. Hassan Piker was like, I might not vote for Biden. I might. Oh, did I really say that? Yeah, I said it. People going through existential crisis right now.
Yeah. And what's the Jewish guy? The Jewish comedian? He's real pale redhead. What's his name? He also said I might Trump might be a rapper for it. It's also deranged about this shit. It's crazy, man. They're going through some stuff.
Dude, we're gonna see some weird ass face turns here recently, man. Because we all got those radicalization points, and we're gonna make fun of those people for the old states. But they're gonna be like good faith people that after this, they're gonna be like, they will never admit it. They're gonna be like, damn,
RBN was fucking right.
Right, the RBN nigga was right, bro. We're not gonna say it, but them motherfuckers was right. And then they're gonna change the politics. They're gonna be better people after this. After this slaughter, they're gonna be radicalized. They're gonna look back at their old quotes and they're gonna cringe. And we don't know that's gonna be yet, but they're gonna be very weird face turns that we're gonna see recently. Because there are even people who I view personally as Sogdem shit libs that are getting this right now. So we see who come out on the other end of this issue and become an ally. Who become better after this, right? But here
they know they can't build a career off this shit for too much longer. Seeing what's going on, that's what they have done. They have built a career off of being lesser two evils, voting for the lesser two evils. You can't do that shit now. The kids ain't falling for it, and you're gonna, hey, kill yourself. I mean, you're gonna kill your own channel with that nonsense. So it's either you're gonna have to move left with your audience, or just stay where you at and fall, because ain't nobody listening to the lesser two evil shit. They either voting Trump or not voting at all.
Yeah. Feel free, as always, just feel free to interrupt me while I'm doing these presentations because I can't get accused. This is an AOC statement. The Biden administration can no longer reconcile their professed concern for Palestinians and human rights while also single-handedly vetoing the UN's call for a ceasefire and sidestepping the entire U.S. Congress to unconditionally back the indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. And if you guys don't know that, that's another thing the Biden administration did. They're now bypassing Congress. And you had Lloyd Austin that gave a not-so-subtle threat. They're like, bro, if you guys don't fund Ukraine, we send in your cousins and your uncles and your aunts and your family members to fight Russia and die for them. So the fascist authoritarian administration is now saying, if Congress, you guys don't fall in line, we're gonna do it ourselves, and we're gonna follow the precedent that you guys set in order to support this war. Now, this is the actual video. This is only a minute to show you guys the actual vote where the United States isolated itself on the world stage. So I'll read this, then I'll play the video so you guys can see it for context. So here's the tweet: result of the UN Security Council vote for a ceasefire in Gaza proposed by the UAE. The only people that was against it was the United States, and the UK voted to abstain. Remember, the UK and the United States are the two protectors. They're the only reason why Israel is not considered a criminal terrorist state is because of the United States and the UK. But tell me more about Hamas, though. Tell me more about how they're terroristic. Imagine if there was a state that was just protecting Hamas. Like whenever the resolution against Hamas, they protect them, and how the United States will respond to that. But anyway, here's the video so you guys
can submit to the vote the draft resolution.
You have to put a black guy up there too. You notice that?
The draft
Yeah, we're gonna get to that here. Say that thought, CJ. We're gonna get to that very soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Document S/2023/970. Raise your hand.
God damn.
Now do you guys see why Zionists are forced to implement authoritarian fascist policies? Because they lost the war on public opinion, and they actually lost it quite some time ago if you're in a country outside the United States and the UK. You guys understand? Even before October 7th, they've been lost the war on public perception. The only people that protected them is Anthony Blinken in the United States. Trump was a dumbass, and he pulled out of the UN Human Rights Council because Trump was like, they being too mean to Israel. I'm fighting the deep state, but I'm here to protect Israel, even though those two things are linked. They too mean to Israel. I'm getting out of here. You guys are too mean to my friend. I'm out of here. And Biden was like, you fucking amateur. You don't pull out. You infiltrate. So what Biden did, he's like, nigga, I'm rejoining that. I'm rejoining the council. And their stated goal, as the progressives were praising, you have Bernie Sanders, the progressives that were praising Biden for quote unquote rejoining the UN Human Rights Council, when their stated goal, and I covered this on the RBN segment quite some time ago, was they were rejoining the UN Human Rights Council to protect Israel. And I actually might find that, I think that'll fit well with this segment. I might find it if I have time when you guys talk. But I covered that. They joined it to do this, to protect Israel. And you know what the reaction of progressives was? When Biden announced he was rejoining the UN Human Rights Council? See, we told you. We told you Biden. I will never forget it.
These are clowns, man. Let me just say, these are clowns, Nick. These are clowns because they are literally on edge, waiting for one good thing. Just like when he was so-called going to wipe the records of marijuana people. Remember when that came out? He's letting everybody out of jail, and it turns out he didn't let out not a single person. And then they never came back and backtracked on that. And it's like, that is an indication, or that is a tale. That's a way to better way. That's a tale of a person or a group who understands they're supporting somebody terrible. If you're waiting on edge for something like that, you understand you have made the deal with the devil, and you waiting for the devil to at least give you some iced tea. He's like, give me at least some iced tea, the devil. You know what I'm saying? In hell, and that's literally all they're waiting for. And then when the devil gives you that iced tea, they act like he giving you the world, and that's what they try to sell us on. But
bro, we just saw an example of this just now. Remember when the ceasefire first happened? And progressives like, see, we told you, Biden didn't want to do genocide. He wanted to do a ceasefire the whole time.
Trump would have continued on, blah, blah. There wasn't no ceasefire.
And
there wasn't no ceasefire.
And to your point, these people wait for any reason to praise Biden. And that was one of the things that I saw the David Figueiredos, the Emma Vigelands, the Cenk Uygurs. Like, see, if we didn't have Trump is not rational. I know Biden not perfect, but at least Biden is rational to join the UN. That I remember this clearly. I wish I screenshot the show receipts. I don't have it. I just hope you guys could believe me on this one, because I wish I could screenshot. But that what they were saying, bro. They gave him credit for this. But let's continue this. Because CJ, you made a very poignant point earlier, and I wanted to say it for a reason. I'm gonna let you make it. Yes. But let's continue the video, and I'm gonna let you continue the point that he was gonna make earlier.
En contra. Against.
Did this nigga just hate?
The only person against. Go ahead, CJ. I'll pass to you because this is
Jesus Christ. And put that back up, because he's one of the, he's excited to be a Negro servant. Do you see how he got that hand up there? Like, you ain't gonna shame me. No dead baby's gonna shame me out of being a damn Negro servant. Look at this. You get what I'm saying?
I work hard to kill these damn
kids.
It is
literally disgusting. I guarantee you, all the niggas in the hood hate this nigga. If he knows a black person, I would be very fucking surprised if this person knows a black person. But right before that, you know, the guy, he's speaking in another language, and then there's a translation. You can hear him take a deep breath before he asks for what he says, contrary people who are opposed. He takes a deep breath before he asks, because he knows the United States is about to be down with killing some babies. That's why he takes a deep breath. That is literally international. There's no language barrier needed to understand that sigh was a sigh of damn. These niggas about to vote against it again. Even after what everybody has seen and 20,000 dead people, these people about to vote against it. And the last point I want to make is about this Negro servant. And that is, if you don't think the United States did not send intentionally a black person to represent this vote, you are insane. Because you know how it would look? You know how it would look if you saw a Victoria Newland, white, ghoulish looking Victoria Newland raising her hand to that, or any other white person who's raising her hand to the genocide of these people. Can you imagine a
Look at
side by
this
side
picture.
shot of that?
I'm glad I found it. I was looking for this.
That's it.
That
is intentional. Go ahead, Nick. If you were gonna also
no, CJ, your point, great. Ron, feel free to chime in. I want to make sure you get here as well. But this is why I despise liberalism. I despise liberal culture to my roots, fam. They commit the insults to our community that like conservatives wish they could. You know what I mean? So, like you said earlier, CJ, in order to prevent that obvious, devious, white supremacist face to be on front of this, they want the world to see black people joining the United States empire voted no. You guys think, and like CJ said, do you guys think this is a coincidence that the United States want to see our faces that look like us on front of violent acts? That they sent Colin Powell, Susan Rice, and that black lady. This was a black lady who was defending the Nazis.
I forget her name. She has the permanent position. She has the permanent UN, whatever Nikki Haley was. I forget what it's called. That's who she is, the one in the bottom right. The other ones are like the black guy. I think he's like a substitute or something to that effect. You mean to tell me, as hard as it is for black people to get jobs, you mean to tell me these black people got this job? That's what they trying to tell me, nigga. And that's why, it's like a 400% employment rate for this position for black people. Get the fuck out of here.
And that's why as black revolutionaries, we don't believe that the civil rights movement was successful. You guys understand?
Right.
Like our leaders were killed before that shit was finished, and then people sold out in the middle of it. When people wonder why me and Rome go so hard on John Lewis, people like, how can you be so mean on John Lewis? Do you know he did stuff in the civil rights movement? This nigga sold out while the job wasn't done.
Right.
You guys understand? That's worse than doing nothing. I'd rather you do nothing than join the fight and then sell out before the fight is done. Because
let's not remember what he has said.
We say, I'll pass right to you, Ron. I know you want to try. I'll pass right to you, brother. But what we say is that, are we really liberated if the only way we can have economic freedom is if we join the forces of oppression?
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way that black people get economic freedom is if we either exploit the labor value and become the sick, parasitic capitalist class ourselves that exploit the black capitalist labor, or we do what Colin Powell said we should do. Colin Powell himself said, there's no racism in this country. Look at me. You can always join the military. You can always become a police officer. And he said it's like it's a good thing. And the white audience are clapping. Like, yeah, the Negroes, they can join the forces of oppression. And my question is, are you really liberated? Are people really liberated if your number one way to liberate yourself is by joining the forces that liberate your people? Bro, go ahead, chime in. I apologize.
You basically said what I was going to say, because I remember what he said before he passed away. What was that on Twitter? He was like, when I got hosed down by the police, I said, thank you for your service. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? John Lewis.
Yeah,
John Lewis said that shit. And this is the state of black leadership today. This is why I don't take none of them serious. And I feel like if you call yourself a revolutionary and you are old enough to be my grandfather and you're not dead, you're not a revolutionary. You're not a revolutionary, because all the revolutionary leaders are gone or locked the fuck up or flee to Cuba. They're not here.
Bro, this was a tweet that like immediately made me despise this person immediately. Like, I remember I was like neutral on the motherfucker, you know what I mean? I was kind of like, John Lewis, I saw this tweet years ago and I immediately hated him ever since. He said, and remember, this was during the Ferguson, the aftermath of the Ferguson riot. You know, where we had our black brothers and sisters that was assassinated. Y'all motherfuckers not ready for this real story. I explained it many times on the show before. I'm from Missouri, motherfucker. I was part of this. Where the real original founders and the real fucking revolutionaries who planted and implemented the idea of Black Lives Matter, they was assassinated and killed. And then Black Lives Matter were hijacked by liberals who then turned it into identity politics bullshit. But look it up. Google. I can show you 1,000 receipts of all the Ferguson activists that was murdered.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know why?
I remember reading those stories.
So as this was going on, John Lewis sent this tweet. I was beaten bloody by police officers, but I never hated them. I said, thank you for your service.
I have never heard a more coon ass thing. I'm trying to think of anything
Man, that shit
else.
pissed me off.
I'm trying to think of anything else than that.
I'm calling all the old people in my family like, you better not say shit.
Bro, I saw this tweet and I immediately identified him as the enemy, bro. Like, I was neutral on this motherfucker. Like, yep, I hate this motherfucker now. And then, like, ever since I saw this tweet, fuck John. This motherfucker got his ass beat during the civil rights movement, fam. You guys know that? Like, that's one of his claim to fame. There's like a picture of him being a victim of police brutality. And now he's trying to turn it and make black people love their oppressors. He wants us to love our oppressors. He is the most disgusting sellout that there is. And then meanwhile, when he died, people was whitewashing this motherfucker. And me and Ron was like, hell no, this is before RBN. Bro, I remember people were so mad at us. I remember being wrong. We went to war on Black Twitter, bro. When John Lewis died, we was like, nigga, fuck him. He's the reason why there's a slave trade in Libya. Wait, I'm going off track. Let me get back on track. Let's get back on track. So we was covering this. It's not too off track because John Lewis is one of these Negro servants like this guy here.
I hope Malcolm X got that motherfucker in the full Nelson while Malcolm punch him in his fucking stomach. Fuck that nigga.
So the United States is isolated itself on the world stage. The United States identified itself as an unapologetic genocide supporter to the world. The biggest act of let me phrase like this. The biggest national security threat and what put Americans in danger more than anything else, more than Iran, more than China, more than Russia, was when Joe Biden did this. Do you guys understand how fucking angry, rightfully so, Muslims are around the fucking world? Bro, Arab leaders are getting their shit kicked in for not pledging war with Israel right now, bro. Like I have my ears on the ground on this, bro. Like all these Middle Eastern leaders, they're getting their ass handed to them by
Erdogan and King Jordan, because those are the two I hear. They're the ones that kind of they're those are two Muslim Arab allies, Jordan and Turkey, and if they go in, it's a wrap for Israel. It's a wrap.
And I'm just saying this for a reason because even the Muslim leaders are doing the most, like the Yemen government, who
I was just about to say,
Yemen declared a blockade on Israel. Yes. And Yemen, I've been learning more about this recently. They have a long-standing history of being fucking freedom fighters against U.S. imperialism, which is why there was a genocide. Like there was a long history. I'm not an expert at this. I got to study more before I can pretend to be expert on this. But Yemen constantly fighting against Israel in the United States, which is one of the reasons why the United States did the crimes against Yemen that they did. Yemen as a country, like Lino said, I see you guys, Yemen is base as fuck, generally, as a country. And
they're making them go around the whole fucking continent just to drop off some shit. They're making them turn their ships around the whole fucking continent just to avoid the Yemens. Like, that's some, like, knowing that these niggas got nukes, like, man, that's some gangster shit, bro. That's the most that's some gangster shit. That's like, dude, I don't know. It's like walking up to the biggest drug dealer on the block. Like, give me your shit, nigga.
So you have all these Muslims and honestly everyone, because I feel the same way too, where you like, man, after seeing what Israel did to Palestinian children, all the war crimes they do, I just want to find a motherfucker and just motherfucker. I want to find anyone who's responsible for this shit. So guess what they're gonna do? Guess what a lot of these people who may not be disciplined may do? They just might find a motherfucker. So what I advise you motherfuckers to do over the next few decades or so is when you travel overseas, tell people you're Canadian. That's what I advise you to do. Because there's gonna be a lot of anger because of the foreign policy failure of the United States, right? So So the reason I pointed out because the United States is isolated on the world stage, and this is a friend I need to bring back on the show. It's been quite a while.
I was gonna say I would love for you to revive that. I've been meaning to tell you that if you could just bring it
we
back
need to do that
once a quarter. That international show, I love. That's how I started learning foreign policy. Before that, I didn't even know. I was all domestic. I talked
to my friends at BetB, Kareem and Peter. I talked to Assault not too long ago as well. It's been a long time coming. We need to bring it back. Assault been on Twitter for a while. Like she kind of like quit Twitter, and then after October 7th, after the genocide happened, she's like, bro, I gotta get back in this shit, bro. And she killed the game
like crazy. Yeah, I've been retweeting her like crazy.
She's been killing the game since she came back. Look at this, 38,000 likes, 1.2 million views, where she calls out. This is Assault's brilliant gimmick. Like this is her gimmick on Twitter, where she take headlines and she debunk them. Look at how they're reporting this. And I didn't even like this is why Assault is such a gem, because like now I'm like, damn, that headline is racist and shit. I don't know if I would have caught this at first, but look at the New York Times headline where they was originally saying that Arab nations condemn the United States for vetoing ceasefire resolution. Why is that disgusting? Because this headline is meant for white Americans and white Britons to immediately create a us versus them scenario. They want them to think that the only reason why the United States voted against it, the only reason why the UK abstained, is because we're the upstanding white Western societies. Meanwhile, it's the brutal, barbaric Arab nations that support Palestine. That's what they want you to believe when you read this headline. Arab nations condemn U.S.? No, it's the vast majority of the world, as Assault Rad points out here. CJ, I know you want to chime in. I passed it wrong.
Yeah, and then because it's very, very important that you're showing this, because people need to understand the levels of propaganda and how one word changes everything. It is literally a science. This is not happenstance. His name is Edward Bernays. He's the one who developed propaganda as a science. Okay, so study him, or go look at our I Am the Revolution series. I covered this, and look at this headline where all you do is change Arab nations. Now you might say, well, why does that change anything? This is how propaganda works. They don't propagandize you on the word Arab nations. You know what they've been doing for decades? They just tell you they're terrorists. Yep. They're just terrorists. All propaganda does is create the fertile ground for you to believe the stupid shit they say, like this. It propagandizing you over years is so that when it's time to deploy propaganda and get a response, this is what they do. And it's going to get the response intended because they've been propagandizing you for years that these people are terrorists and labeling everybody terrorists and labeling this whole section of people terrorists. And it works, Nick. Like you said, this is not marketed to people like us. This is marketed to the white population that has been propagandized to fear the other. It always works on them, and it's working again.
Yeah, what's that? Romy, you want to chime in real quick?
That just remind me of a video I did when I say the word thug, what pops up in your head? What group of people pops in your head? When I say the word terrorist, what group of people pops in your head? This is what propaganda do to us, you know. Even if we know we're not racist, but we have been programmed and propagandized to the point that Black, Muslim, automatically. And this is what propaganda do to you, and it's gonna have people going out there hurting other people. I'm telling you, what the Zionists are trying to do, they are not only trying to hurt the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza. They're trying to get us hurt. They're trying to get us hurt, and they're trying to get the Jewish communities here hurt. They're trying to get the communities of the Jewish people hurt here for not standing in solidarity with them, wiping out the Palestinians. So, because you have them saying, "Oh well, not in our name," and now they're doing everything that they can. They are assaulting these people. Nothing is happening. Nobody's getting arrested. People are getting shot. The little boy got stabbed. Right? Hate crimes are going to go up against who? the terrorists that they have been programming you to hate all of your life, even though they're not. But you look at them, you see a job, you see what their clothing, or they might not be from your neighborhood. They might be migrants, wherever the fuck it may be. But in your head, they are terrorists. They are thugs. I go in your neighborhood, you look at me, I'm a thug. You be ready to do something. But hey, it is what it is. We just got to make sure that we stick around and stand up for these communities. No, I'm not religious, but I'll be damned if some people sit here and just fuck with people because of their religion, or like, that's just stupid. It's all stupid to me. But we got to stand in solidarity with the Jewish communities here and the Black communities, and make sure that, because we're going to be targeted. These Zionists are going to target us. So we got to make sure that we do whatever we can to protect each other.
Here's and I've been having a good time following the fallout for this, because this is another one of those trigger things. Because people who advocated in their whole political careers relied on lesser two evilism, they was very happy when Biden was trying to take credit for the ceasefire, because they're like, see, in the evidence that Biden's some sort of lesser evil. Oh, there it is. They killed him again. So they had like a 3-day victory where they're like, I told you Biden was better. Oh my God, he killed more kids. Oh, he's doing more propaganda again. So I'm just showing you guys this.
Over Black Friday, though. Over Black Friday, where they needed to get more money from us to support more war. Of course, they like, come on, man. Ain't nobody falling for that shit. The kids weren't even falling for that shit. I went on TikTok, all the kids like, ain't this kind of suspicious that they did a ceasefire and right now when they want us to go out and buy more shit?
And it's
disgusting
because Biden was trying to take credit for a ceasefire that he didn't want, because he didn't want journalists and media to document Israeli war crimes. But then the ceasefire happened, which was a Qatari broker deal. And then they came out like, see, we told you guys we had a plan. Like, no, nigga, you guys was against it, as you guys are now. So this is people protesting Biden today outside of fundraiser. Biden should never have peace, and he won't because of this. He's fucked against Trump, as he should be. Here's Richard Medhurst, and almost done with this part of the segment, where Richard Medhurst says UN Security Council resolutions are legally binding. Israel has never implemented a single one. It continues to violate the UNSC 242 and others by illegally occupying and annexing the Syrian Golan Heights, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. Even if the United States hadn't vetoed the ceasefire, Israel would have ignored it and violated anyway. Israel will also continue to murder UN staff. More UN staff has been killed in this war than any war in United Nations history.
God damn.
Can you guys imagine if Hamas killed as many UN workers as Israel did? Can you imagine if Hamas killed 70 journalists in a few weeks? So that's why I'm going crazy. And we're going to be the most radical media outlet, apparently, because we're the only ones who have the balls to say we don't condemn Hamas, we condemn Israel. Even if you disagree with me, even if you, because you're so brainwashed, you can't decolonize your mind. Let's say you hate Hamas. Let's say your Hamas made your skin crawl. You can't decolonize your mind. You can't stand these motherfuckers. Okay, I accept that. If you hate Hamas, you should hate Israel way more. Way more. Imagine if Hamas did any of this. Imagine if Hamas killed UN workers and then said they are right to kill UN workers because UN workers are pro-Israel. Can you imagine what they would say? That's the stated position of Israel, that they are okay. They are allowed to kill UN workers because anyone who helped Palestinians are helping Hamas, which means they're fair game. That is the most radical position that any country has on war. Any country. We covered the Ukraine war. Even the Ukrainian government doesn't do that shit. Mm-hmm. Would they just kill anyone who's affiliated with the Russians? We saw what they did to Gunzero Lira. We see what people who do what they do to people pro-Russian, but they're not out here just bombing Russian doctors and shit. They're not out here killing UN workers who help a Russian. What we see now, Israel is next level shit.